There's never been a greater crossover in gaming history than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. All of gaming's most important icons are represented, and Ultimate in particular has really done a great job of adding fighters the fans have been wanting for years, like Ridley and Banjo-Kazooie. But there's one fighter in particular I've been dying to see included for the longest time, and that character is no other than Dr. Ivo Robotnik, and I think right now his inclusion is more likely than ever before. But there's two questions that stand in his way. Does the Sonic the Hedgehog series deserve another rep, and should that rep be Dr. Eggman? The answer to both of them is yes, and here's why. The Sonic the Hedgehog series is one of the most popular and important in all of gaming. In the 90s, Sonic was just as big, if not bigger, than the plumber himself. The series was directly rivaling Super Mario, and the console wars were a landmark time in the growth of video games as a medium. While the series isn't as big as in the 90s, the fanbase is still thriving. So many people grew up loving the character and are still interested in new releases to this day. There have been some rough patches along the way, but I think the series has more than recovered, as most of the recent games in this series have been very good. Sonic Mania in particular is phenomenal and highly praised. Sonic Forces hasn't been as much, but at its worst it's seen as mediocre. And then there's the Sonic movie that came out this year, which is actually really awesome and entertaining. It doesn't try to do anything new, but that isn't really a bad thing. Seeing Sonic the Hedgehog on the big screen was so cool, and it's without a doubt the best video game movie to date. At the moment, the Sonic the Hedgehog series is going strong and isn't showing signs of slowing down. After Sonic Lost World, we had to wait 4 years for the next mainline game, and wouldn't you know it, 2021 is 4 years after Sonic Forces released, so it's safe to say the next mainline Sonic game isn't far off. And with the Fighters Pass 2 still having plenty of slots available, it would only make sense for one of them to belong to a Sonic the Hedgehog character to release alongside the game, and with Sonic's 30th anniversary the same year, the timing could not be any better. So yeah, I think the Sonic the Hedgehog series is very likely to get another rep in the game. I mean, if Castlevania and Street Fighter can get 2 reps, albeit Echo Fighters, why can't Sonic? Sonic has the same number of reps as ARMS and less than the Mother series. That should be a sin. It's not like Nintendo and Sega don't have a good enough relationship to make this happen. They've already got their poster boy along with Bayonetta, so I don't see anything standing in their way. However, even if the series does get another rep, how likely is it to be Dr. Eggman? Well, I think there's 3 characters from the series in particular that have the highest chance of making it in, as they're the most important or most popularly requested, and they are Tails, Shadow, and of course, Dr. Eggman. Tails is one of the most popular in request, and he's a fairly big character in the series, as he's been around since Sonic 2 and is Sonic's right-hand man, but I've never really been eager to see him in the game. For one, I don't see that much potential in his moveset. I'm sure they can make something unique of it, but it wouldn't be as easy, and there's far more interesting characters in the series. Another thing that really doesn't help his case is the Heroes Villains theme in Ultimate. For this game, they've been all about adding the villains to the series as only represented by heroes, like Ridley for Metroid and King K. Rool for Donkey Kong Country, which I really like. Those things alone make Tails the most unlikely candidate for Smash. I'm sorry to all you Tails supporters out there, but I really don't see it happening. Now, what about Shadow? Shadow's a really cool character, and Sonic Adventure 2 is one of my favorite Sonic games, but I don't think he's an important enough character in the series. He didn't make his debut until 10 years later, what many consider to be the golden age of Sonic. The era that really solidified him in gaming history had passed, and Shadow wasn't involved whatsoever. He'd be a good representation of the modern era of Sonic, but so would Dr. Eggman, and he has the benefit of being there since the beginning. So I think if a villain were to be included, it would be Sonic's main antagonist in every Sonic game. And plus, Shadow doesn't have a ton of moveset potential either. They could make something work, maybe a down special similar to Bayonetta's that slows down time like Chaos Control, but that's already a move Bayonetta has.
Chaos Control!
In the game Shadow played the most prominent role in, he played the exact same as Sonic. He was a speed character, so it makes the most sense to make Shadow an echo to Sonic, but if they were going to do that, they would have before launch, like they did with Ken. They couldn't and wouldn't make him part of the Fighters Pass. That promises new fighters. If it were just an echo to Sonic, that would upset many people, including myself. So that leaves Dr. Eggman, who has the most potential as a fighter in Smash Ultimate. I made most of my argument for him as I was going through the other two, but just to reiterate, he's been the main villain in basically every Sonic game and has been around since the beginning. He's undoubtedly the most deserving. And with the Heroes Villains theme in Ultimate, it would work so well. As they went through the slideshow of Mario facing off against Bowser and Link against Ganondorf, I could totally see Sonic facing off against Eggman. It would be perfect. And the moveset could be really spectacular and unique. They could go many routes with it, but I think it would be best to keep him in his mech. Just imagine a heavier and more powerful Bowser Jr. with a more projectile-based moveset. That would be sick. Dr. Eggman has a solid chance of being added to Smash, as the timing could not be better and there's so much potential in his moveset that I think it would be ridiculous if he wasn't included in the second Fighter's Pass. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, leave a like, and if you want to see more and help the channel grow, please subscribe. It helps me out a ton and I really appreciate it. Also, what are your thoughts on this? Do you want to see him added to the game? Let me know down in the comments. And if you've got any recommendations or criticisms, you should also drop those in the comments. I really appreciate those too. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.